difference between the two because there's less fat in these. Okay, this is the 95% lean ground beef, and let's look at some other percentages that we have here today. This one happens to be about a 93% lean product, so it has just a little more fat in it, and you can see a little bit of a color difference between the two also. As we go down the line, this one is a 90% lean product, and this one has about 150 calories per 3-ounce serving, plus it has about 8.5 grams of total fat. As we go farther down, we have another sample. This is about an 82% lean product. So again, we're starting to add just a little more fat into these products, and so it just becomes a little bit lighter red. And then finally, here at the bottom, we have an 80% lean product. Ground beef can also go down to 70% lean. You'll usually see that in your larger size packaging, such as a chub. For the 80% lean product, you'll get about 216 calories and 17 grams of total fat. So there's a variety in there. Now this particular product here, this is a 90% lean ground beef product, but this is labeled as ground sirloin. You will probably see something like this in your grocery stores. When you do see that type of label, whether it's ground sirloin or ground chuck, that meat comes from that particular cut in the carcass, whereas these ground beef products, such as these that we've shown, come from a variety of places in the beef carcass. This particular ground sirloin product is a 90% lean, which will be equivalent to this one here. As far as cooking these, any of the red meat type products, these are all cooked to 160 degrees. And again, you want to use a thermometer, and to check that, you do not want to use color as your indicator for doneness. Many times when you look at the inside of a ground beef patty or a ground pork, you'll notice that sometimes the inside might still be pink and it's just not turning brown, but it may have the proper temperature. There's other times when the whole patty will turn brown, but it may not be to the proper temperature yet. So the only way to really know that your product is done is to use a thermometer, and all the ground red meat type products need to be cooked to 160 degrees. Also, when it comes to cooking ground products such as on the grill, or if you're frying them in a skillet on top of the stove, the ground meats with the higher fat percentage can help make a juicier burger, whereas the ones with the lower fat content might end up a little dry. So you want to really watch cooking those so that you don't completely dry them out. The other thing I want to talk about is the terminology of hamburger versus ground beef. These two terms are used interchangeably, but they really are two different things. Hamburger is defined as ground beef that may have added fat to it, whereas if it is just termed ground beef, there is no added fat. In either product, they can have up to 30% fat in them, but the hamburger product has added fat to it. It's not just what comes out of the initial grinding of the meat that's being used. For ground beef, a lot of different things can be used with ground beef. Chili powder is probably one of the most popular because it's used in making chili, but it can also be used in making like sloppy joes or even spaghetti type products. If you want to add a little more heat, chili powder will do that. You can also use ground cumin. This is used a lot in your Mexican type meals that you're serving. Bay leaves will just kind of infuse that bay leaf flavor in there. You don't actually eat the bay leaf itself, but it does add a nice flavor to ground beef. Of course, ground pepper, and then thyme or marjoram is another one that can be used. And of course, onions and garlic. So lots of different varieties of seasonings can be used with ground beef. I also want to mention the cost differences between these. The cost will vary by product and by how much fat percentage is in the product. So something that has more fat in it, such as a 80% type product versus something that's a 93% type product, the 80% are going to be less expensive. And it also depends on the meat product itself. Lamb will probably be a little more expensive than your ground beef type products. So that's something to consider. Depends on your budget. And you can always buy the lesser cost types of ground meats and drain off the fat and then save a little money that way.
Production support for this video has been provided by Hy-Vee. For more information, visit the K-State Research and Extension website at www.ksre.ksu.edu.